In this video, we're going to be building an AI voice agent from scratch that qualifies all of your leads and then books them in for an appointment with you. So by the end of the video, we're going to end up with a system that makes tens of thousands of dollars a month, outperforming human teams for a fraction of the cost. So we're just going to be head over to our Vapi dashboard. Now we're using Vapi for making the AI agent, and we're going to use n8n to connect it to your Google Calendar where we can reliably book the appointments. So in your Vapi dashboard, just head over to Assistant, click on Create Assistant. Let's just go with the blank template so you know how to make it from scratch. Now, the most important part of your AI agent is the prompt. It takes quite a while to tweak the prompt and get it right. So I'm just gonna put it in here that I've made, the prompt that I've made. So I've just put in the prompt that I've made right over here. It's for a dental clinic called SmileBright. So in the prompt, you're just gonna start with the role, the style the agent is gonna speak in, the context, the response guidelines, and the tools it's gonna use and how it's gonna proceed with the conversation. It's best to separate your prompt into different sections. Now, if you need this prompt as a template, just head over to our Instagram, loxes.ai, and DM us the word prompt, and we're gonna send it over to you. Now we just modify the other settings of our assistant. If you want a deep dive into what exactly all of the settings does and how to set them, I've already made a YouTube video on this. You can go ahead and watch that. Now we're gonna head over to tools. So this is what your LLM can basically, your AI agent can basically use to interact with other services and integrations like your Google Calendar. So we're going to go ahead and create a custom tool so that we can send the data to n8n and then get some data back from there. And in between, our appointment setting and checking availability happens. So we're going to use a custom tool for this. You could also use the native integration, but I don't recommend it. It's not really scalable, and it's not as reliable as well. By scalable, I mean if you want to do other things along with booking the appointment and having the AI agent perform as best as it can. So we're just going to go with a custom tool. Let's create the n8n availability tool first. So this tool is just going to check the availability before booking an appointment. All right, so the description is important so the AI agent knows when do I have to use this tool, how do I use it. And then we define the parameters. Now this is important because this is what you're going to send to n8n to check the availability. So what do you think that will be? Of course, that will be the date and the time that we want to book an appointment. And again, the description here is so that the AI agent knows what value do I assign to this variable. Okay, so the AI agent needs to pass a timestamp for when the user wants to book an appointment. Of course, this is required. You should not call the tool without this parameter. So we check it as required. Now here we're gonna put the server URL of the n8n workflow, of our n8n workflow. So let's just head over to n8n, create a new workflow. Now the first step is always going to be the webhook. This is what's going to be triggered by your AI assistant, and the method should be post. That's what Vapi requires. So we're just going to copy this link and put it in right over here. And that is pretty much it. Just click save. So the tool in Vapi is ready, and now we just need to make the tool in n8n. So Vapi is going to call this server URL whenever this tool is used, and data is going to come to this webhook. Then we're going to have a few steps over here for checking availability, and then in the end we're going to have a webhook response that returns data back to the AI agent in Vapi. So you just need to put in a Google Calendar node over here and get availability. Then you just need to create a connection over here. So how that's done is, if you have a self-hosted n8n, you're just going to go to your Google Cloud Console. You're going to enter your client ID and your client secret over here, and then you're just going to click sign in with Google. But if you're using n8n Cloud, you don't need to do this, and you're just going to click sign in with your Google, and then sign in with the Google account with the calendar you want, and that is pretty much it. And you'll have a connection over here. Now we're checking availability, right? So The starting time should be, since we want to check the availability of the whole day, the starting time should be 9 a.m. of the day that they requested, and the end time should be 5 p.m. of the day that the user requested. So why 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.? Why not just the time that they want to request? Well, because ideally, I also want to return back the slots that are actually available, so that in case the slot that the user requested is not available, it can give it alternative times that you can book an appointment at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. or these are the slots available to us. So we want all the slots that are available and that are busy from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. over here. Okay, so there's a few more things we need to do before we can test this tool out. First is you actually need to connect the tool to your agent from over here. And the second thing that you need to make sure is you include this variable in the context. So this variable is basically gonna give the assistant the current time, that is the current time of the day. Because if you don't include this, the LLM is just gonna hallucinate from its own memory, and just, if you say tomorrow at 3 p.m., it's gonna think tomorrow, a date in 2024. So it needs to know the exact date, the current date, so that it knows that tomorrow is 23rd February since today is 22nd. So this is really important. You need to give it the context of the current date. Otherwise it's gonna mess up, and if your agent is messing up, this could be the problem. Okay, so I've connected the tools. Let's just click on publish. So now let's just call the assistant and have it use the tool. Let's click on execute workflow here so it waits for the data.
Hello, you're connected to SmileBright. How can I help you today?
Hey, I just want an appointment tomorrow for 3 p.m. My name is Hamza. The service that I want is actually teeth whitening, and my email is hamzaalzuhair.
It looks like I'm having trouble checking availability for tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Okay, perfect.
Could you?
So now you can see that we actually have our data over here. Our end-to-end availability pool has been called for tomorrow, which is 23rd February at 3 p.m. Right, so now we can use this data. Let's just pin it so that we don't need to call the tool again and again from the AI agent. This is a handy feature of n8n. You can pin the data and use it as many times as you want. Okay, now let's put back our Google Calendar node. Right, now I want slots from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. for this day that the user has requested, right? So it's 23rd February. I want slots from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then check the availability for 23rd February in my calendar. Now, how do I produce 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. slots from this date? Now, what most people do is just use an OpenAI node and have ChatGPT get the the date from this, but the easier way to do that and the more efficient way to do that, which unfortunately I don't see people on YouTube doing. They're just put an LLM node over there, and it's so inefficient and slow. So just use a code node. Now there's no need to be scared from the code. You can actually just head over to ChatGPT and Gemini and tell it to give me the code for what you want to do. So what we want to do is we want to produce slots from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., right? So we want this day, and we want 9 a.m. concatenated over here, and then 5 p.m. We want two variables like that. So this is the code I'm going to use. You need to get the date from this variable, extract this part of it, right? So the part before t, you extract that, then you define new variables from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and with the time zone, my current time zone is GMT plus 5, so I write plus 5 over here. And then the result of this code node, I'm going to send it over to my get availability node. So let's just run this, see what the output is. Now these two variables we're going to use to check availability. And the other two variables are, the time the user actually requested the appointment at. Since the appointment lasts in 1 hour, so we get that time the user requested, add an hour to it, and we have the date time and the date time end slots. So on this one, the start time needs to be start. So we're just gonna drag this right over here. And at the end time, we're gonna drag this. Yeah, so from options, you're just gonna select the time zone, and then in the output format, you're gonna return what slots are booked and which slots are available. So let's just have availability, see what it returns. Okay, so it's just returning true. We don't want that, right? I wanted to output all the slots available and all the slots busy, right? So it's returning us nothing, which means there's no book slots over there, right? So in the raw format, it's returning an array of the busy slots and it's empty. So let's just head over to our calendar and actually put in some slots over there. So I'm just gonna create an event from busy slots over here. Now it's gonna return these busy slots as well. Okay, perfect. And over here, it's gonna return it as well. So this is just returning one slot. I think it's returning multiple items, which will need to have an iterator to map on. So it's returning multiple items. So I'd rather use the raw API response, which just returns one item with an array. Yeah, that's much better. Now we have the slots that are busy. Now we actually want the slots that are free, so that we know if the slot that we requested is within those free slots, or if it isn't, then we can actually give the user alternative free slots, because we want to return the free slots back over to the AI agent so it can actually recommend to the user that we have these free slots. Let's just call them. So from these busy slots, I want to create free slots. Now what most people will use here is again a ChatGPT node and tell the AI to do the job, but that's unreliable and that is completely inefficient and slow. So of course we're going to use the code node again. Again, you can just tell AI to generate this code for you that you have a window of a date from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you have busy slots from that. Now from those busy slots, you want to extract the free slots. So just 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and you remove the slots that are busy to actually produce the free slots. So we have this code. Let's click on execute, see if it works. Okay. Yeah, we just need to put our array over here. Yeah, I need to update these variables as well. So the end time comes over here. And then we have the start time. And the date, the time that the user requested. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So now we're getting the free slots. It's from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and 3:15 to 5 p.m. That's actually perfect. You can see 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. free, then we have 12 to 1 busy. And then it's returning 1 to 2 free, and then 3:15 to 5. So that's perfect. Okay. And we have another variable, output variable, that tells if the current time that the user requested is available. And now all we have to do is actually just check if the slot was available. We're going to return a response that was available. So we're going to use an if node. Now what we're going to be checking for, of course, is the Boolean that we evaluated before. If this is true, okay, we're getting an error here. Yeah, this needs to be a Boolean type. Is true. Yeah, that's simple as that. Now let's try again. Perfect. So Vapi wants the response format in a particular JSON. Otherwise, the agent is not going to recognize the data that is being returned to it. And even after checking the availability, it's just going to say there was an error with the tool, even if there's no error in there. So it's given in Vapi docs. This is the JSON that they want. So it's just going to be the tool call ID that comes from the original webhook. Vapi sends the tool call ID to this webhook, and in the response, we're going to include this tool call ID so that Vapi knows which tool call this response is being returned from. Okay, so over here, we're gonna insert our tool call ID right over here in our tool call. Boom, that's it. Now in the result, we're actually gonna return the data that we want our AI agent to know. So let's just return that the requested time slot is available. Awesome. And if the time slot is not available, we again want to return a webhook response that the JSON, and this webhook response should say that the requested time slot is not available, and then it should give it alternative time slots that it can choose from. So let's just put in these slots in there, see if the agent can correctly extract data from them. Otherwise, we can always format them before and then send it in simpler English, which will increase the reliability.
Hello, you're connected to SmileBright. How can I help you today?
Hey, can you check availability for tomorrow at 3 p.m.?
I need a bit more information first. What type of dental service do you need? Filling, or something else?
So we're getting an error. Let's see what's this about. Okay. So we actually need to set this to respond to a webhook node so that the webhook doesn't respond immediately. It responds basically when Vapi sends data to this webhook, instead of sending a response back immediately, it will do its thing. And on this node, it's going to send data back to Vapi. So this needs to be on respond to a webhook.
You're connected to SmileBright. How can I help you today?
Hey, can you check availability for an appointment for tomorrow at 3 p.m.?
Of course. May I ask what type of dental service you're looking for?
Yeah, it's just teeth whitening. My name is Hamza and my email is hamzaalzuhair.
Thank you, Hamza. Just to confirm, you'd like to book a deep whitening appointment for tomorrow at 3 p.m.
Yeah, can
Let
you
me check if that time is available.
Yeah, sure.
That time is unavailable, but here are some other times we can do. Would you prefer tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. or tomorrow at 4:30 p.m.?
Okay, perfect. So in the prompt, I've told it to give two alternative time slots, so the user does not have like a lot to choose from. But in the prompt, you can tell it how to use the response data in any format. The availability workflow is done. The tool is done. Now let's create the workflow to actually book the appointment after the availability is done. So again, it's the same procedure. We just go to tool. We're gonna create a tool. Have its name and description. Okay, so the description tells the AI agent what this tool is used for. Now we need to send in parameters. So what parameters would we need here? Of course, it's going to be the name of it's going to be in the name of the user. And then we would have the service that they want to book for. This is not really required, like 100% compulsory requirement to book an appointment. Then we have their email so that we can actually send them the invite. Now it's important to give it the format so that it actually sends the correct data over to your workflow and results in less errors, no errors, and becomes reliable. And then we're gonna have, of course, the date and time that they want to book, because this is a completely separate tool from the availability workflow. So the requested time that is available is gonna be booked over here. Perfect. Now this is also required. Click apply. Great. Now we need the server URL of a new workflow that we're gonna create. Let's just activate this one. Awesome. Now when you activate the workflow, actually, the webhook URL changes a bit, right? So now we're going to use the production URL. This is so that we won't have to click execute workflow every time here, and the AI agent can just use it. Just copy it here, save for the availability workflow. Now let's go back to our book appointment. Now we need to create a new workflow over here. Have a webhook node. Get this to post, copy this URL right here and click save. Yeah, actually let's just get some data over to this webhook first. Let's do it.
Oh, you're connected to SmileBright. How can I help you today?
Hey, I want to book an appointment for tomorrow, 3 p.m. My name is Hamza. My email is hamzaalzuhair@gmail.com. And the service that I want to book for is teeth whitening.
Tomorrow at 3 p.m. is unavailable, but here are some other times we can do. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. or tomorrow at 2 p.m. Would either of those work for you?
Tomorrow at 2 p.m. is okay. Okay, so it's getting some error in with our availability workflow. Let's just check that. You can always go over to executions and see what data was returned. Okay, so what I can do is I can put in a code node over here that formats the data in a much more readable format. So I'm going to use this code. This is going to return the data in a single string in the 12R format. And in the response, we're going to return the result. So it's just going to be this JSON.result. Click save and let's try again. Okay, so we actually need to first attach the new tool that we made to the assistant. Very important. Do not forget that. Now let's call and get some data over to this webhook. Hey, I just want to book an appointment for tomorrow at 3 p.m. My name is Hamza. My email is hamzaalzuhair@gmail.com, and the service I want is teeth whitening.
That is unavailable, but here are some other times we can do. Tomorrow between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Which works for you?
Okay, let's do 1 p.m.
Perfect. I've got you down for teeth.
Okay, great. So we have some data over here. Now let's set this to respond to webhook. It was on immediately first just for testing, right? Now, when we're actually using it, we want it to respond to webhook. Let's spin this data, same procedure as before that we did with the previous workflow. So we're just gonna use the Google Calendar. We're gonna go to create an event. Okay, so but in the start time, we just want the time that the user requested. And in the end time, we want the time that the user requested plus 1 hour, okay? So let's just put a code node before this. Just to format our data. So this is the code I'm gonna use. What it's doing is it's getting our date time argument and it's appending my time zone to it, which is +5. And on that time, it's adding 1 hour to get our date time and the date time end. So click execute. Let's set for, okay, it's perfect, works perfectly, no errors. Connect this. Now over here, we're just gonna click on, we're gonna put this over here, the time that the user requested, plus 1 hour, which is gonna be the ending time. Now we want to have the user, we want to invite the user to the Google Meet event. So we're gonna add some attendees over here. And we're gonna use the email for that. So an email will automatically be sent to this person with the invite for the event. Right now, we have other options. We can edit the description and stuff like that. And other options like if they can invite others or not. Great. Now actually let's test this out. Perfect. You can see a new event has been added over here with an invite sent to my email. That's perfect. Now we need to send this data back to Vapi with a respond to webhook node. And we're going to respond with the JSON. Just like the tool before. Put in the tool call ID over here, which we're going to get from the webhook. Awesome. And in the result, we're going to get the appointment has successfully been booked. Awesome. Perfect. So one last step is that you actually activate your workflow. You need to copy this production URL. Just like before, go to tools and copy it in your book an appointment. So that is pretty much it. One last step is you could go to the phone numbers tab, get a phone number and link it to this AI agent you made, and boom, you have an AI receptionist that take care of all of your calls 24/7 and then books appointments. So if you have any other questions, let me know down below in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thank you.